Hello, everybody, and welcome to Write Something Weird. I'm Sophie Stern, and I'm here today with my wonderful guest, Maria. Hello.
Hi.
Maria and we have known of each other and danced in the same circles for some time, but we are doing our first signing together in May, Sassy in St. Louis, which we're both very excited about. I speak for all of us.
Oh yeah, I'm stoked.
I think it'll be a really good time. But Maria, could you tell us a little bit about what you write?
Sure, I write everything. Literally, if it's romance, I'm gonna write it. I try to take the romance out, but it doesn't work for me. It always like weasels its way back in. But I write gay and straight. I write paranormal, revenge, mafia, contemporary, historical, women's lit, um, MC, those stories. I
Okay.
just everything.
Literally all of it, which I love. Do you have a favorite genre that you write in or a favorite playground?
Um, I don't. It's weird. And it's funny because everyone's like, oh, you need to stick with one genre. And I'm like, it doesn't work for me. My characters
No.
do not work that way.
Yeah.
So I love writing MM. I
Okay.
have, well, I'm a bi author. I'm bi. So
Me
I,
too. You're in good company.
yeah. So I tap into, I have a lot of rainbow friends and just, I listen to some of their stories and I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
And so I just, but I also love the MF, and it's funny because my last few books have been MF. Whenever there for a while, it was a long switch of M. So I just flip back and forth.
You know what? I love that. And I like that you're able to do that. I know a lot of writers are, as you mentioned, like they pick one genre and stick to it, but I feel like I'm a little more like you. I love to jump around and I have so many ideas for stories and I think you do too, and that's
So,
probably why is that
and and my characters will sit there and be like, "No, you're doing this,
yeah.
and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this," and they run the show. It's not me. So yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of running the show, I know before we started recording tonight, you mentioned you have been working on a new villain.
I have, I have. I started writing a new MC series because I got into the anthology for TNT and C this year.
Okay.
So I started writing a new MC series with Shadowhounds, and they're all Hellhounds. And there is one particular kind of introduced in book one, but he's going to be really visible in book two.
Okay.
And he is kind of like a kingpin. He
Oh.
all over the board. He distributes to cartels and not only drugs but other things. And he's just like the lowest of the low, and he's living the highest of the high. And
I
his
love that.
daughter is actually going to help bring him down.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. So it sounds like you also like to write like complicated family relationships. Is that fair?
I do. I always grew up in a very tight knit family, so family's always been very core for me.
Okay.
My grandfather is the oldest of 12,
Okay.
and I knew and had a relationship with all 12 of them.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, I had a relationship. My great grandparents didn't pass away until I was in my 20s, so I didn't have a relationship with them. And my great grandmother came to my first housewarming party. So it's family's always core. So, but there's always those family members who are, how do I say, not your favorite.
Not your favorite.
So, so I've always explored that type of stuff too, but also the closeness of stuff, like having, because my sisters are there for me, my brother is there.
Cool.
So that rolls into this stuff too.
I like that. And I feel like because you have like all of that experience with different family relationships, it's probably very natural to bring that into your writing, especially if you are creating a villain. Because I think one thing a lot of writers miss is they tend to do like the twirly mustache villain. And I've done this before. I will be the first to admit I'm very guilty of this. And so I think it's really interesting and important to create those villains who have relationships. They have a daughter, they have a past and a history.
But whenever I create a villain, I very much, whether it makes it into the story or not, I have
Mhm.
a list of things that they have done or have
Yeah.
had done to them, or they have this whole backstory that may never make it into. One of my characters, Rain, she was the villain in my book Exposed. And I had this huge backstory for her. And I'm like, she's never going to make it into another book, blah, 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 blah. Her book is number two.
Oh wow. Okay.
That one book turned into a series, the Love Seeker series. And so her book became book two. And so you kind of understood where she was coming from.
That's really interesting. And that's funny. It's so interesting to me, like when we create these characters, and sometimes we're like, I don't know if they'll get their own story. And then it's like, actually, surprise.
So a lot of my villains don't get their own story
Okay.
because um, I'm I have a murder list.
Okay.
So I have
Okay.
a murder list, and basically, if someone makes me mad or does something I don't agree with or whatever, I will go to my murder list of names and say, okay, they can be the villain, or I just need someone to murder, or I need this, and that's a lot of where my villains come from.
Okay. Okay. So kind of like inspired by true events
Um,
or like a
Either
true
that or I
person.
just have them in mind whenever I'm creating the person.
Yeah.
Um, when, there was a person that we had to portray in a bad light. I would co-write with Shell Craig a mafia series or a cartel series,
Mhm.
and there was someone we needed to portray in a bad light, and then eventually, oh, it happened to be someone from my murder list because one of my friends was afraid, and the doctor told the victim she. So I
Wow.
used the doctor. We used the doctor's name
Okay.
instead of.
Well, I feel like when we are creating villains, a lot of times if we can channel that like real life energy into them, it definitely helps them feel more real and kind of come alive on the page. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Because you want to feel that contempt for
Hmm.
that villain that you're creating. I mean, there's always those villains that we secretly love, but
Yeah,
you want to have that contempt and that hate for that villain. And how are you going to write that if you don't feel that yourself?
that makes sense. I feel like a lot of times as writers, like we have to believe what we're writing if we want the readers to also believe it.
Yes, 100%. And that's that's one thing that I tell new authors is, baby authors, is channel your emotions into your
Hmm.
writing. Think about how you feel about this situation or what you would do in this situation. Because I'm also an editor, so I see it also, and I'm like, I was just editing a book for a friend, and I'm like, no, you need more. You're telling
Yeah,
him to do this, and he's just like, okay,
yeah.
but it's going to lead to her death. And you're just, okay. So you need to really lean into those emotions. What would you feel if you were put in that situation? It's not just your character. This is a part of you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important. And I also think you brought up a really good point in that having an editor who is very aware of the end goal of the story can make such a difference. So when you are editing, if you're editing a villain versus writing a villain, is it
Mhm.
different for you or do you kind of go through like the same like process?
I pretty much go through the same process. I can turn off that part of me that says, this is not my book.
Okay.
This is not my work of art. At the same time, being an author, I think I have a different perspective than some editors because I'm like,
Okay.
you have this hole, this hole, this hole, this hole. What would you do in these situations? Where sometimes the
Yeah.
editor comes about it very clinically. My editor is amazing. She doesn't. But I have had those editors who come very clinical about it, that
Mm-hmm.
it's a grammar, this is kind of iffy. But I want that person to tell me, okay, I need more, or this doesn't work, or something like that.
Yeah. And I like that urging of like more because I know like in my own work when people have read it and been like this was good, do more of this. That's so helpful because I think a lot of times as writers we tend to hold ourselves back and kind of reel ourselves in and we almost need that permission and that push to be like no, like lean in, go a little darker, be a little scarier, be meaner and see what happens.
Oh, yeah, I I've done that. There's basically one book where I just turned off everything and I just wrote.
Okay.
I actually wound up writing 70,000 words in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it turned out to be a ghost story. And it's weird because normally in most of my books are first person.
Okay.
That book had to be third person omniscient because of
Interesting.
the, so, the omniscient where you can head hop and
Yeah.
do whatever. And because of the ending, it needed to be omniscient and it needed to be third person. And that book, I have people messaging me even today saying, I threw the book across the room. I almost threw my Kindle.
Oh my goodness. And is that a good feeling for you as an author?
I love it. I have people who cuss me out for that book for no other reason than the emotion. It is empty and it's so full of emotion because it's one of my MM and the two people in it text to Memphis, have a fight, and then
Okay.
Memphis dies. And Tex sees him lying in the middle of the street in New York,
Hmm.
with a white sheet over him, and it's described as like this the pavement is turning red,
Oh, okay.
and so he sees Memphis like this. This is the love of his life, and he was about to propose. And then
Okay,
a
break my
year
heart a little.
right, and then a year later, he comes back as a ghost.
Okay.
So it's so just like angsty, and people
Yeah.
will message me and email me and just test me out for that book.
That's really, really funny. I love that. And I feel like as an author, like that's such a good feeling because for me, I always think like, am I powerful? Did I elicit an emotion from you? Like, I'm excited about this.
Exactly. And whenever I can like, make you hate a
Hmm.
villain, someone I created, or hate, the situation, because sometimes the situation is the villain. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be a person. And if I can invoke that emotion from you, I
Hmm.
did something right.
I like that. So here's a question. What's a good starting point for new writers who want to write better villains? Where should they start? Should it be the name, the emotion, somewhere else? Like how do you
I,
start?
I think the name comes second.
Okay.
It, what are you trying to accomplish? Like in my MC book, I knew that there was going to be drugs involved, there's going to be assaults, there's going to be, all these different things. And it's basically the MC against this guy. Well, how bad do I want to make him? Well, I want to make
Hmm.
him the filthiest guy, like just off the wall.
Okay.
So, but tap into that emotion and that, even if it's like anger at something someone did to you, how would you feel if you were in this situation? How would you feel if you were this character looking at this guy? How, and you have to come at it from different points of view. Like his daughter's going to help take him down. Well, she
Hmm.
doesn't like him and she's a hacker.
Oh, yeah.
And he is mated to the um, enforcer of the
Hmm.
Shadow Hound.
Okay.
So how is she going to look at him? Well, how she looks at him is going to be different than how her mate looks at him. It's going to be different than how maybe the president looks at him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different than how his associates deal with him. So you have to look at it from, he has to be, he can't just be one note. He has to be multifaceted.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
have to be able to see him from different ways. So, but also channel the hate, channel your anger, channel your pain and suffering. I was bullied as a kid. I think a lot of people have been bullied.
Hmm.
And sometimes I channel that, what I felt, into my anger
Yeah.
and how I want to portray the villain.
Hmm. I like that. And I think one thing that you've talked a lot about is that that self-reflection of like looking inside of ourselves and then pulling something out and giving that to the reader, which I really like. And it's kind of funny. So I wrote a bully romance several years ago, and a reviewer basically called me out and was like, "Your bully was just slightly rude. Like he wasn't really that mean." And I will admit, like it was, I definitely held myself back a lot. And but I kept that feedback in mind. And now when I'm writing villains, I do that same thing. Like I kind of try to channel that same energy and that same emotion. And a lot of us don't allow ourselves to feel all of those emotions in our everyday life. So I love that you're like, think about when you were a kid, think about how you felt when you got picked on, like, because those are big emotions for a kid.
Well, and I go back to my murder list. I
Mm.
know that sounds hilarious. And all my friends now have a murder list, so they add to it.
It won't be a surprise when they watch this.
No, not I
Okay.
there have been even family members who have upset me to the point I made them villains and killed them.
Did you tell them?
They personally don't know, but other
Okay.
members of the family know, and they keep my secret for me.
Okay. I love that. That's good. That's
So,
good.
and if they did find out, I really would not care.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the day that they do find out.
That's so fun. So I can tell that you enjoy writing a good villain. Do you also like writing your hero?
Oh, I love writing my heroes.
Okay.
I honestly, there's not much about writing I don't like. I love creating the characters, and it's hilarious because I just posted a meme recently that says, I don't write my characters, I just write the incident report.
Okay.
And it's true. I've gotten into the zone, and whenever you get into the zone, you're just there. Everything else seems to like fade away,
Hmm.
and you're in the zone. And I remember for somebody to love, I was typing, I was going, and then I typed the end, and I went back and I read it. I was like, yeah, I thought I typed that. I don't remember typing that, but that happened. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. That's interesting. And that's kind of a fun experience too, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it was great because it was in that epilogue, they really gave it to the villain of the book. Just like
Okay.
basically just tore him to shreds. And I love
Interesting.
doing that to a villain. My
Yeah.
villains win. It may take a couple books, but they will be torn to shreds.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And I think that's one thing I like a lot about romance, especially like the monster romance or paranormal or mafia, is like, I love it when you're reading this and you're like, that villain will be dead by the end of the book. Like, we're not going to have to worry about him because whoever's fated mate finds out that he exists will take care of this problem for us.
Yes, and I love writing paranormal because there's no rules. You make up your
Yes.
own rules. You
Yeah.
know, I've read so many shifter books and they all take it differently. Like this person has to heal with help from someone else. This person has to go to the hospital. This person can heal just by shifting. There's no
Hmm.
rules when it comes to paranormal or magic. Same with sci-fi. There's not a whole lot of rules. There's some
Hmm.
general, but there's not a lot of rules, and you can make up your own.
Yeah. I like that. I feel like it's a very like freeing experience being a writer. Just because, like you said, like we can kind of do as we please, we can explore these emotions and just have a good time with it, which
Yeah.
I think is probably my favorite thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love just creating
Mm,
um and letting go. And when I'm having a bad day, honestly, you're gonna laugh, okay? Um,
okay.
my I see a psychiatrist,
Okay.
and my psychiatrist has flat out told me she reads my book.
Okay.
As long as it stays in the pages, she doesn't have to make a call.
I love that that's like the boundary that she has set.
That is the one boundary she has set for me. Um, so whenever I'm having a bad day, I need
Mhm.
to write the ink. I need to write the anger. So I will write I've done it before where I'm like, okay, so this isn't supposed to happen for another couple chapters. I'm going to write it now
Oh,
because
cool.
I need to channel that right now.
I like that. And one thing I've noticed with me as well, because we've both been writing for quite some time, is when I go back and read an older book, that especially if I wrote it during like a hard period in my life, all the emotions kind of come back. I'm like, oh wow, I really poured my pain or my sadness into this scene or this story. Have you had that same experience?
Yes, yes. Um, Recently I got a message about my book exposed. Um, so a lot of people don't realize this about me. It's not, I talk about it, but I guess I don't think I talk about it enough. I have something called myasthenia gravis.
Okay.
It is a neuromuscular condition that falls under the muscular dystrophy umbrella. It makes me weak. I have to use a walker full time. And so I wrote my second book that I ever published was exposed. And the main female character has myasthenia gravis. I needed to channel that. And honestly, after the first book I published, I said, I'm never publishing again. And then I felt compelled to write someone with myasthenia
Yeah.
and or MG. And so I wrote it, and there's this chapter, I think it's chapter 17. And Brian, the guy, he's trying to fix her because she wants to find love. And she's like, I'm not broken.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she feels broken because she can't run, she can't play tennis, she can't do everything that she used to do. And he asked her, you know, what would you want to do if you could go back? And what do you miss most about being normal?
Yeah.
It's freedom to be able to go anywhere when I want, freedom to not feel tired all the time, not to have to use a walker, not to have to use a cane, not to have to do this. And I had someone email me recently and she's like, I don't know what you're going through, but I felt it and I bawled for you. I cried for you. And she goes, I know you have some chronic illness. I don't know what illness you have, but I can tell you have a chronic illness just by reading this book. And I've had so many reviewers say, I can relate and thank you for writing this because I feel seen. I have this disease. I feel seen. And I haven't gone back to read Exposed in a while. But after getting that email, I went back and I read it. And of course, there's things I want to change now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read that one chapter and it got me. And I can remember. bawling as I wrote that chapter, just bawling because those
Yeah.
were my feelings about it.
Yeah.
And I've been sick now for March 9th was 16 years.
Okay. So it's been a while and you got to put those emotions out, but you got to use them like for good, which I think is really amazing. I think it's
Yeah,
so cool that you have gone through this impossible challenge, like this super hard thing, and you've been able to like heal other people. Like they don't feel so alone because they got to read that.
right. And that book actually came out in it's either September or October. It'll
Okay.
be 10 years.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So I'm
Slay.
thinking about doing a special edition cover and writing like a
You
bonus
should do
in the
that. That's amazing. You should do that.
yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm really glad you shared that. That's really cool and I'm sure it was super hard to write. I can't even imagine how hard it must have been to write that.
Honestly, I tell everyone this, it was cathartic.
Okay.
I did not, I had been, at that point in time, it was 2016. I'd been sick for 6 years. I'd had to leave all my friends in Texas and move to St. Louis and move back in with my parents. And I did not realize how much resentment and pain I was holding on to.
Okay.
And when I wrote that book, it felt like everything just released. And yeah, there's a villain because Rain is in it.
Mm,
Um, but there's also just a lot of healing in that book.
yeah. I like that. I just I love hearing you talk about this. We could probably go on all night, honestly. We'll wrap up in a second, but I I love that idea of it being cathartic and like writing as therapy and writing as processing. I think that's so important for creatives to have that outlet to be like we have this emotion or a situation when here's a way we can make it beautiful, right? Like we're going to make art with it.
Oh yeah, and you can do that with anything. I followed two corn stars,
You could say the word. That's fine.
corn stars, uh,
Good job.
and well, everyone's
I
centered
know, I
over
know.
here.
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you. You're good. You're good.
Uh, and they had this really public breakup.
Okay.
They were together in real life, and he was seeing someone on the side, and they basically told him, "You can stay here with us until you find another place. It's fine." I'm like, no. I
Yeah.
wrote about that situation inspired a scene which wound up being a whole book.
What? Okay. So you can find
And
inspiration anywhere.
and you can find some of the best villains and things that happen around you.
Okay.
And just channel those emotions and like if you're offended by something someone does, make them a
Hmm.
villain.
Yeah. I like
Make it,
that.
you know, it could be anything. If you're inspired by something someone else does, make them a hero.
Yeah.
Self into a story because honestly, and this is what I tell every single newbie author, your stories are a part of you.
Hmm.
There is something in you in every single story. And people say, oh, you got to write what you know. Okay. But there's also research. You can do research.
Yeah.
Um, my latest book, Captain's Obsession, is dedicated to my uncle. He was in a writing club. He believed in the MC life.
Okay.
His road name was Captain Pink. So Captain Pink is the main character in that book, and
Okay.
there is a villain. But I don't live the MC life, but he told me
Yeah.
so many stories, and I have so many friends that live that life. So you can ask questions, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
But whenever they say write what you know, it's put a little bit of yourself in each story.
Yeah. I like that. Well, speaking of putting ourselves out there, Before we say goodbye, could you tell everyone where they can find you and your work?
All of my books are NKU
Okay.
on Amazon. And the only ones that aren't available anymore, of course, are like anthology pieces that, I gained the rights back to, which I'm actually compiling into a collection of short stories that will be released in June.
Wait, that's so cool. Congrats. Okay.
Some
I
of
love
them
it.
I'm expanding on, some of them I'm like, they're good the way they are.
Yeah. Amazing. That's awesome. Well, Maria, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was really awesome.
You. I had so much fun. Thank you.
I had a really good time too. All right. Take care.
All right, bye.